Everyone, it's Di here from Di's Den and welcome to our last project for October. Well, that month went very quickly, didn't it? I hope you all started your Christmas shopping. I've been a bit slack on mine, but you know what? I'm going to get stuck into it soon. Pretty soon, that's for sure. Okay, this week we're going to do a card that's called a step pop-up card, and this is what it looks like. It's a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And when you open it up, it's got all these lovely steps inside, and it can stand up like this, or you can have it so it stands up this way, which we're going to do ours this way today because I've done one this way. You know, this was a very heavy card because I used a lot of the gold mirror sheet, and I'm going to be sending this to a special person. So to our friendship, our friendship is one of a kind, and that's who it's going to, a very special friend. Okay, so this is the card we're going to be making, but we're going to be using, and I left, no, I didn't, I just popped it over here. And we'll be using this paper, which is a lovely pack. It's a little bit busy, but I love it, and we're using the images that come with it, so you get 2 sheets of those. They're the ephemeras, so you get 2 sheets. One has like post office boxes and little houses and things like that. The other one has animals. So the paper, it looks like this. Let's open this up again. I've just got to leave it open so you could see. Oh. And we're using this paper for one side, and on the other side it's a lot busier, and it's pretty, but it's a lot busier. And then for the front of my card I'm using this paper. And then on the other side you've got all the animals on that one. Then you've got animals in cars, and then postage stamps on the other side. Oops, come on, turn over. And then we have the animals, and that's got that one again. And then you've got that's all like letters, and that one's like little parcels and letters. And that checker, which is what we're using. This sheet has all the lovely houses on it, and then on the other side it's got letter boxes, so that's really cute. And then the other one has bears and foxes and all sorts on it, and it's very plain on the other side, which is great for all seasons. So that's what we're going to be using. Now when I pull my ephemeras out, I use one of these old cases that my dies come in, because I put my dies, as you know, I put my dies on the inside on a sheet. So I keep these cases because they're great for putting those ephemeras in, and then you can just pop that in too with the paper, and then you know they go together, and they're all together all the time. So that's what I do with those. Anyway, so let's pop that on one side and let me show you what we're using. So I'm going to be using the stamp set. What did I do with the stamp set? Oh no. Oh, here it is over this other side. Oh, here it is. It's called Jolly Delivery. That's a stamp set that goes with that paper. And it also comes with these lovely dies. Oops. And you've got all the animals and everything all cut out. And then you've got this lovely envelope, which I haven't made up yet, so we might have to have a go at that one, I think, and see how it goes. So we'll pop that back in there. So they're too big to go on the inside of the packaging, so they won't go inside. They'll sit by the side of it on my shelf. But you've got all the lovely things, and it says, "Hoping this Christmas is the most magical yet," which is the one we're going to be using. And it's got "From me to you, special delivery, from here to there, sending merry tidings, Merry Christmas and happy wishes from the North Pole." But we are going to put on the back of our card, because that's where we write, sorry. I did tell you that, but I showed you that, but I didn't tell you. We're going to put Merry Christmas on the back of ours. Now, for my front panel here, I'm using these textured notes. So I'm using starting from the small, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for my sentiment panel on the front of my card. And then I'm going to be stamping in Poppy Parade, because that's the colour I'm using today. And then I'm not sure if these are still current or not. They're the Real Red adhesive back peppermints. I don't think they are. I think they have actually were from last season. But that's what we're going to be using to finish off the card. So let's pop this card on one side for now. Stick it under there. And I've done a lot of work because there's lots of bits and pieces. So let me show you what you need. Okay, so we need a card, main card, that is 11.5 by 5 3/4. Then we're going to need, for our large step on the inside of the card, a piece that is 5 inches by 4.5 inches. And then for our small steps, we need 4 pieces that measure 4 inches by 1.5 inches. Okay, then we need, let's pop these all in the correct order. We're going to need, and I haven't glued any of these together because of the way I'm making this, and I'll explain why as we go along. You'll need 4 pieces that measure 5.5 by 5.5, and then I've got 2 different kinds of designer series paper because I'm using this for the inside and that for the outside. So for the outside and the inside and for the writing panel on the back, which I'm doing in the very vanilla, these all measure. So you need 4 of them. So you need 4 different pieces, one white or cream, 2 or 3 pieces of DSP, and they all measure 5.25 by 5.25. Okay, so let's pop them together like that. Alright, for the large step, you're going to need 2 pieces. Now I've already glued one piece together. Where's the other half of that? Oh, there it is. Okay, so you're going to need 2 pieces of card that measure 4.25 by 1 3/4, and then 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 4 inches by 1.5 inches. So we've popped one of those together. Then for my little steps, now I've already done 7 of them because you don't need to see me sit here and stick 8 of these together. You need a piece that is 1.25 by 1.25, and another piece that is so you need 8 of those, and then you need 8 pieces of designer series paper that measure 1 by 1. So that goes onto there like so. Alright, so this was my front panel that I'm going to pop together on the front of my card, and these are the ephemeras that I'm going to be using. So these have all got, now you could stamp some images if you've got some small images, or you can put, like I did on this one, I actually cut out little stars and put on all of them. So that's how it's going to go together. So, and because I did this way, so it stands up this way, that's great. But because the other one's going to go this way, we're not going to put on our front or our back panel until last. So I've got all my bits and pieces here now. Let's pop them out there, over there, so that they don't get in the way. And all of these. And we're going to start by doing all our scoring at once, so it's all out of the way. Alright, ooh, my goodness. I hope I didn't bash these all up over there. Okay, we're going to score our main card on the long side. Now I've done all the scoring anyway, so but just so we can go through it, at 5 3/4 inches. Now don't worry if you don't keep up. You can always head over to Diane's Den for stamping, crafting and tutorials, and there you will find the written tutorial with the measurements in inches and centimetres. So it's in metric and imperial measurements. And we're going to score our large step panel, which is the 5 by 4.5, and we're going to score it on the long side at 1/2 inch, 2.5 inches and 4.5 inches. So that's on the 5-inch side. Then we're going to score all 4 of our pieces for our small steps, which are the 4 inches by 1.5 inches, and we're going to score all of them at 1/2 to 3.5. All 3 of those. Now I've done all of them, So they're all done. Okay, so we can pop the board away without knocking everything over again. And we're going to bring in our main card. Okay, so we're going to bring in our main card and we're going to fold and burnish this main card, making sure that we get it nice and even on all four sides. Now I'm not putting the front and the back on because I'm working on the inside. Now I'm going to be working on the inside because my card is going to sit this way this time. And luckily I have a pattern for the inside that doesn't need to be any particular way. So I'm using these two pieces here for the inside of my card. Let's pop those two pieces out of the way for now. And we can pop them, glue them together and glue them onto the inside of our card. Because they're non-directional, it doesn't matter. If you've got directional paper, this is where you need to make sure that whether you're going to be doing yours as a top fold or a side fold card. Why is this not coming out? I just checked this before we started. It's a funny old day out there today considering the time of the year. Okay, so that's one piece, and we'll do the other one. I'm just going to get a good shake down, so hopefully that's half the problem. The bottle needs filling up. Okay, then we're going to glue these onto the inside of our card. One on the inside front. Come on, get in there straight. And the other on the inside back. Okay, so you'll notice how this goes a bit faded here. That is how the paper is, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not a mark on the paper. So now we're going to actually fold this piece in half, making sure that this is our large step piece, and making sure that it's all nice and even. And then we can fold our two tabs in, one for each end. Now this one here is going to sit into the middle like so. So where this score line is here, it has to match up with this score line here, and we want to have it so that it's even at the top and the bottom here and here. So we're going to pop some glue onto our two tabs. Oops. And with them closed in like so, we're going to line that up. Now I'm lucky because I've got paper that's got like grids on the inside, so it actually looks like it's lined up with that grid line, and that's lined up right down the middle of that score line there. So when we bring that up, we can bring that up and we can burnish those down nicely on the inside for the glue. Oops. Okay, so as I say, because we don't have a front and a back on, it doesn't matter which way up we have this at the moment. And now we're going to put on our step panel layers. So they're going to go there, and the other one on the other side. So let's pop this, glue this one together. And I've got a scraggly bit on the end there, so I'm just going to bring in my nail file and get rid of that. That's it. Okay, so they are going to go into the middle like so. I reckon these would look really nice if you had Japanese flowers, because of the paper. It looks like one of those Japanese blinds, and I think it would look really lovely with Japanese flowers on it. Oh, that's an idea for a card. There you go, you've got an idea for a card if you've got this paper. Okay, so we've got our 2 panels on the inside like so, and they're in there. So this isn't actually quite an easy card to make, really. We're going to close that up again, and we're just going to give that another push. Now this is a card that will lay flat eventually, but it is quite bulky for posting. So it is a card that if you prefer to have as a one to give to somebody, that's great. So all 4 of these pieces here, we're going to fold them in half. Fold them all in half, like so, making sure they're nice and even. We'd want them to be nice and even. Okay, and then we're going to turn in our tab ends and burnish those down as well. I'm going to do that on all 4 of these pieces, which I could have done 3 already, but I didn't. Okie dokie. So once we've done that, we're going to start with just 2 of these, and once again this score line now needs to line up with this line here, this score line here, like so. So we're going to pop these on here, and again we need to make sure that we get them even. So we want them to be even, so that between this and this gap here, it's very similar. Once we're happy with where we've got them, we're going to do exactly the same again. This time I'm only going to glue on one side, the side that's going on to the bigger step, because it's just a little bit easier for me to work out exactly where I want it. And once I've got this one in, I can then measure that one up and see how it's going. Yep, that looks about even, and this line, this score line, is here onto this score line, so then we can lift these over, pop some glue on them. Oops, getting a bit of build up there. And then we can close them across like so. I can give them a good burnish down. Then we can lift that up, and this one's a little bit harder to burnish in there on the other side, so we can do these ones. And these ones we're just going to have to put our fingers in the back and just press them down like so. Okay, so once we're happy with them ones, we'll do the other sides so that they match up evenly. So once again, I'm going to just pop glue on one side, because it gives me that chance to wiggle it around. And I'm going to line up this line, this score line here, with the score line here. Oops. And see if I can't match that up nicely with the top of that one. You can always use your ruler to get it straight. Happy with that? Pop that one down. Same again, I can use my ruler at the bottom here just to make sure I get that as straight as possible. And we're going to pop that onto here with that score line the same on this score line here. Happy with that. I can actually press those ones down before I close it up. That'd even be better than the other way, wouldn't it? And they can go there, so we can then pop some glue onto these ones. Bring them over like so. Lift that. That's definitely a much better way of doing that. Why didn't I think of that before? Okay, so now we've virtually got our card built, so we're going to close that down just so that we know it's going to go this way nicely again. And we're going to bring this in, and we're going to pop our 8 pieces of card, which I've already done 7 of. So they are the 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 with the 1 by 1 inch pieces on them. Glue those together. And we can pop them. And we'll now open this up flat, because it's easy to do it with this card. It opens up flat nicely. So we can then glue all of these on. And unless you've got a pattern that is, let's give that a nice fold along that line there and there and there and there and there and there and there. There we go. Get that nice crystalline. So unless you have a directional pattern, you don't need to worry which way round you pop these. But if you do, be very careful. That is why you need to do the inside and which way you're going to have your car sitting up first. Because if you're like me and you don't have a direction, you can swing the card around in circles and it doesn't matter. Okay, when it comes to putting your images on, or if you're going to you could stamp on those pieces. If you wanted to stamp small images on them, you could use cream pieces and just stamp on them and colour them, or you can do like I have done, and you've got little ephemeras to put in there. So that, we've got our card virtually done now. So I'm going to bring these all in again, all my little pieces. This is my large one for the front. And just with that nice and flat, work out where I'm going to put them. Now we don't want to put them on with dimensionals, and we don't want anything that is going to sit above the crease line here or below the crease line here. And the same on these. You don't want it below this crease line, and you don't want it above the crease lines. So I'm going to pop mine on like this. So we're going to just glue them all on flat, because if you put dimensionals, you're just going to make the card even thicker, and we really don't want to make it any thicker than it has to be. So there's my owl, my little hedgehog, both with letters on them. This looks like a badger. It doesn't matter if they stick out the sides of the picture, of the squares. You just can't have them hanging down on this one or hanging up the top on this one, because as it folds it will actually bend them. So we have our rabbit. So we have 4 on. Then we have a squirrel. And this looks like another kind of squirrel or something like that. Meerkat? No, I don't know. I don't know all the animals. I'm not a big... Might be a fox, but... Mouse. Oh, I knew that one. I don't like them. And this one looks like a dog. So that must be a fox. Okie dokie. So we've got all of our inside of our card done now. So they look really cute in there. So we're going to close our card, and we know that we're going to have this opening this way. So this is where, like, if you turn this around, and if you had your front and back panels on, you'd go, oh no, I've got them on the wrong way. So it's easier to do the inside, then work on the outside. So we're going to bring in our other panels, and we're going to use one of our 5.5 by 5.5 with our 5.25 by 5.25, and they are going to go on the front. Now you could have stuck these together ready, I guess, but you... We didn't stick them on first, did we? Never mind. And then we can open this up flat again on this way. And I've got something on there, no? We know that this is the front, so we can pop this one onto the front, like so. And we've just double checked that. Yep, that's the right way. So we're going to turn that one over. We're going to bring this one in, and we're going to stamp it with our Merry Christmas, which I've got something else stuck to it. That's not very clever, putting that on top of that. So I'm using Poppy Parade because that's the cardstock I'm using, and I'm just using Merry Christmas. Just in the middle of the back. Just putting the Merry Christmas there. Like so. Close that up for a minute. That needs re-inking. And then we can pop this onto the back. Now you could put other decorations around on the back, but I'm not going to do that because I know who I'm giving this to. And I want to be able to write on a bit more on it. So we've got our front, and we know that that's the front, so we can open that up, and we're going to just turn it over like this, because once we've got it open, you know, you're going to turn it and look at it and read it. So I'm going to open that up again, just because it's easier to pop this on while it's out flat. And we're popping our bit on the back. Okie dokie. So we have our card finished almost. We've just got our front right sentiment tag to put on. So I'm going to glue that onto there, and this is going to go over here. So I'm going to put my other saying on the other side. So let's move that out of the way and bring in our ink pad, which I'm going to have to re-ink. Not now though. And I'm going to put this on here. And we'll just make sure I've got that nice and inked up. It says, hoping this Christmas is the most magical yet. And I'm going to pop that down in this bottom left hand corner, right hand corner. That's a bit better. That will be better, won't it? Okay, and then we're going to glue these two pieces together and then he will go up on some dimension. Or do I glue him flat and put the whole thing up on dimension? I think I'm going to glue him flat. So I'm gluing my little bear flat over here. I can bring him in a little bit because we've got plenty of room there. And I can pop the pin in my glue because of the weather. And where are my dimensionals? There we go. I've got glue on my fingers. Ugh. Don't you hate that? I'm turning that over instead of this. That's not bad, is it? Come on. There we go. We've got those on there. And we know we've got our card the right way around because we put our front panel on last. We're going to pop him onto the front of the card. Yep, that's nice and even. And we're going to put some of these peppermint dots on here. I'm going to use these big ones. And maybe some middle shaped ones. And that is our card for today. Well, I've enjoyed making that, and I hope you've enjoyed watching me make it. It was a bit of a longer video, but it is a very super thick card. As you can see, it's quite thick, so it is a card that it will cost a bit if you're going to pop it in the post because of the thickness and the weight, even without the gold paper. It is gorgeous. You could put little bits in the corner. You could put like holly leaves in the corner here, or more presents out of the ephemera pack or something like that, and I just think it would look really gorgeous. I might actually put some of those mailboxes in the corner, so you'll have to watch the video pictures and see what I've done to finish it off on the inside, so it's not quite as bare. So if you've enjoyed today's card, that one opens that way and this one opens the opposite way. So this one opens this way and stands this way up. This one stands this way up. So I hope you've enjoyed them. If you have and you like them and you'd like to leave me a comment, I'd love you to leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up. I do enjoy it. If you'd like to know more about these products, these ones was done with retired products, but if you'd like to know more about these products, please contact me. I live in Australia, so if you would like to purchase from me, I would love you to be my customer. If you live in another country and you don't have a demonstrator, I can always head you in the right direction towards some demonstrators in your country. And I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.